All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Malzberg panel time, and it's Friday. That's always a good thing. And joining us on the panel, trial attorney and columnist at HNGN.com, Heather Hansen, and, of course, the host of the syndicated Roger Hedgecock radio show, The Roger Hedgecock Show, Roger Hedgecock. But I'm going to start ladies first and lawyers first because we're going to talk a little bit about the problems that Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey might be facing. And Heather, we've heard of these rumors and these charges on and off for a couple of years now almost, it seems like. And they center around an ophthalmologist in Florida, a friend of the senator's, who, according to the Justice Department, according to CNN, is going to charge him with taking gifts in return for favors to this ophthalmologist. There have been plane rides on private jets that the senator actually reimbursed the government for, or paid taxes on, or whatever he did. So how much trouble do you think Menendez could be in here?
You know what, right now it doesn't look like a whole lot. Anytime that anybody's filing a case so close to the statute of limitations sort of leads you to believe that they may be filing just to maintain the statute of limitations. There's also a political argument here. As you know, Senator Menendez has been a big critic of President Obama with regard to the Iran negotiations. He's got a bill that's about to be passed, I think, over probably a proposed veto to try to make sure that Congress has some say in that. I think there may be some political implications to these charges. It's been sort of milling around for a period of time, and I don't know that it will go too far.
Roger, Heather makes a good point about the timing, and to that point, do you think that this is some kind of payback, or do you think that Attorney General Eric Holder just unilaterally lowered the standards?
No, I agree with Heather. I believe this is more to do with Menendez very well publicized, very high-profile opposition to Obama on both issues of Cuban normalizing relationships with Cuba and on this issue of the upcoming agreement with Iran on the nuclear matter, and he has been outspoken. He used to be the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Now he's the ranking member, and he's very knowledgeable about these things, and he is very much in the mold of the old Democratic Party, which was still a very patriotic, Jack Kennedy and so forth, patriotic party that stood up for America, and he and Obama are on a collision course.
Yeah, go ahead, Heather.
No, I was just going to agree with that and say that, while this has been being investigated for a period of time, they really started to press in at the same time that Menendez started to speak out more and more. So I think that the timing is certainly something to be considered.
Frankly, I'm shocked that the two of you would consider personal payback or animosity on the part of this White House towards a fellow Democratic senator who was so outspoken against the president. I want you to hear, of all people, Lawrence O'Donnell, with the former governor of Michigan, who I consider a Hillary sycophant, defending Hillary here about the emails. Let's watch this.
Lawrence, if it worked for the previous administration, why not keep it? And I mean, you're laughing, but obviously this would... Wait.
So are you saying you should just ignore all new regulations?
No, of course not. But what she's saying is that she followed precedent, which is what was done before. In 2014, there was an amendment to that law to make it clearer. So there was an ambiguity in the law. But she just did what Secretary Powell did.
Well, poor little Hillary Clinton, the smartest woman in the world, who happens to be an attorney, Roger, she couldn't figure out the ambiguity in the law. She needed clarity. She never asked for it, but she just didn't understand, you see. She went on, the governor went on to say, or said previously to that, she's just following precedent. And O'Donnell saying, wait a minute, there was a new law. You can't follow precedent. It's a new set of circumstances. I mean, I consider that a sycophant's answer.
Well, let me just make this clear, because this has got to get through all of this underbrush of defenses against this unbelievable stonewalling of these emails. The fact is that Hillary Clinton, with a directive to every employee of the State Department when she was the secretary, with her signature on it, forbids any employee from doing business in the State Department with a private email account. She was the only one. It reminds me of Dianne Feinstein when she was mayor of San Francisco, forbade anybody from having a concealed weapons permit except the one that she had. So it's obvious that in this situation, it's a do as I say, not as I do situation.
That's Heather?
Yeah, I mean, it's two sets of rules. And that's something that we see consistently, and I think that's why there's so much interest in this. I mean, one of the many reasons why. But you've got one set of rules for everybody else who works there and one set of rules for Hillary. The other problem that you compare it with Colin Powell is that she went out and set up her own server. It's not like, Jeb Bush, who had a private email address and a private email that he used. She went out and purposefully set up her own server, maybe two.
Yep.
There's a lot more questions to be answered
and
here.
Multiple email accounts. All right, we're coming back with more of the panel. Don't you go away. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you know who Lloyd Braun is, you would have liked to have been here a few minutes ago. We were having a conversation. Anyway, the Malzberg panel is back, and we welcome back Heather Hansen and Roger Hedgecock. And let me ask you, Roger, one of the candidates who, if Hillary does falter or get in trouble, or Democrats haven't been racing to her aid by any stretch of the imagination, except a few sycophants, as I already alluded to, you got Martin O'Malley, who's trying to make a splash and is trying to be taken seriously. Will this weaken her to the extent that someone like an O'Malley could come forward?
There's certainly stirrings in the bullpen. You've got O'Malley going to New Hampshire over the weekend, presumably to talk business about the New Hampshire primary. And even more surprisingly, Al Gore, not coincidentally, is supposed to show up in Iowa for a climate change seminar, but he's meeting with certain Democratic operatives out there. So the bench is thin. I mean, the coronation of Hillary's proceeding, the bench is so thin that we have these kinds of straws in the wind. But I think the Democrats are linked to Hillary Clinton come hell or high water.
I'll tell you what, if Al Gore's going to Iowa, they better get ready for a big snowstorm, especially if he's talking global warming. That's happened before. What about it, Heather?
I agree with Roger. I think that Martin O'Malley, no one really could get that excited about him. I don't feel like he has that much of a pull. He doesn't have a whole lot of charisma. Another name you hear a lot is Jim Webb. I think that he would have a lot more pull from those in the right, but I don't know that he could get the primary. So I agreed with Roger. Everybody's been set up for Hillary for so long that if she is not a viable candidate, I don't know who they'll have to fill in.
Going to be very interesting. What would satisfy me the most is she actually runs and loses in the primary. That would be better to me than her just not running at all. Let's go to the jobs numbers today. 295,000 jobs. All I keep hearing all day long, oh my God, the recovery, this is it, the recovery, it's official, 18 months of 200,000 plus, the best since blah, blah, blah. You got 62.8% labor force participation. It's near a 37-year low. It's been there for 11 months. 56,023,000 women, a record number of women not in the labor force. And a lot of these jobs created, not that there's anything wrong with this industry, are in the restaurant business. So you know what, Heather? I can't get excited about this.
No, and neither can the man who's out of work, gone to part-time job, isn't making as much money and isn't getting the same benefits. You really have to not just look at the general numbers, but compare the actual jobs and the number of full-time jobs, the number of skilled jobs versus the part-time jobs, and the restaurant-related jobs that we have.
The slowest recovery ever out of a recession, Roger?
And the question for Hillary Clinton is, are you the third term of Barack Obama to continue policies that have kept women out of work, that have kept women in part-time jobs, that have 56 million, as you point out, women out of the labor force, or are we going to get something different from you? That's a huge issue for a woman who's going to be running, saying, look, vote for me because I'm a woman and we've got to break the glass ceiling.
And how about this, Heather? We found out that she gave 72 cents to the dollar to her Senate staff, women compared to men. It's even worse at the Clinton Foundation now, according to the report I saw yesterday. Women, first of all, the top 8 top paid are all men, and the women are getting 60 cents on the dollar. I mean, again, how does she combat all these things?
Well, if she thinks she's going to do it the way that she's done it thus far, which is by just not explaining it, she's underestimating women. Women are more than just a political group. They are a majority of the society right now. And so she needs to get it together, or else there is no way that she is going to run on just being a grandmother.
Final word, Roger.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Menendez is going to be treated the same way as Hillary Clinton's brother, who just got a gold contract in Haiti after $3 billion were spent by the federal government in earthquake relief. That's going to be interesting, too. Let's add that to the pile.
It just never ends. It just never. Why do you even need a job? Why couldn't Hillary just give him a couple of speech fees, and say, here, take this. All right, we're coming back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to the panel. Have a great weekend. Heather Hansen and Roger Hedgecock, always good to talk to both of you. And coming up next, of course, the one, the only, Give Me 5. It's next right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television.